When people get asked the question why they got into Kingdom Hearts, most folks seem to fall into one of three admittedly broad categories. I loved Disney movies as a kid. I played Final Fantasy VII when I was a kid, or I had a PlayStation 2 when I was growing up. And beyond just these three, there is a wide range of reasons for folks to get into Kingdom Hearts over the years, be it through games on their own systems or just personal experience with properties. But mine might be a rare case for most folks. If you watch my introduction video, you may have noticed I never had a PlayStation 2 while growing up. My first console in the PlayStation family was a PlayStation 3. So, how did I get into Kingdom Hearts before the HD remakes came out? Well, as I was growing up, I read a lot of Donald Duck and Uncle Scrooge comic books by Carl Barks and Don Rosa. There were a few other Disney comics here and there, and I was aware of other Disney properties, but I never really watched the classic Disney films like so many other kids my age did. Instead, I read a lot of picture books that summarized the plots of said movies. The few times I did watch some of the Disney classic movies like Lion King or Little Mermaid, I was really little, so I don't remember much of them. And I did request fast forwarding through the quote-unquote scary parts because I was kind of a wimp as a kid. And even then, like I said above, I was a Nintendo kid for most of my life and never really even played or heard of Final Fantasy or even Dragon Quest as a kid. So, yeah, I didn't have any Disney connections outside of the comic books, nor did I have any connections to Square Enix characters. So, how did I find and fall in love with Kingdom Hearts? Well, in 2006, my great-grandfather was starting to get on in years, so my family would constantly make trips up to Akron, Ohio so that the adults could take care of things and help take care of him. Meanwhile, I was just a kid bouncing around, excited to be visiting my Papa Watson. I say this because during one trip, we had dinner with some old friends of my dad, and we did what we normally do after having a dinner just about anywhere when I was growing up. Go to a nearby Borders bookstore. And if you don't remember Borders, it was basically what Barnes & Noble is today, just minus the guys trying to upsell e-readers. And as a kid who enjoyed reading comic books a lot as a kid, that was always the first section I looked for whenever I went to a bookstore, as I ignored all the other normal books that surrounded me. And on this particular trip, once I finally reached the comic book section, something caught my eye. On the side of the bookshelves where they keep the comic books, where they would sometimes display new releases or popular items that were getting a lot of sales at the time, there was a book with a cover that intrigued me. And it was this one right here. There was Donald Duck swimming alongside Goofy as weird underwater animals, and then this kid with spiky hair. I was confused and intrigued at the same time. I flipped through it that trip and realized it was actually the third volume. So instead of trying to assume and figure out what was going on, I checked the shelves in that area and found the first volume and started reading what little I could before we needed to go back to our hotel for the night. After that, every time I went to a bookstore, I would check the comics section to find the different volumes and read what I could every single trip. And from there, as I say, the rest is history, and now I love Kingdom Hearts to death. I finally finished reading the manga of Kingdom Hearts 1 and was absolutely in love. My parents got me all 4 of the original volumes that released here in the States, I believe either as a birthday or Christmas gift, or maybe just out of the goodness of their hearts. Both are possible. After that, my dad got me my very first Kingdom Hearts game, and you might be surprised to see which one it was. Yes, my dad had a Game Boy Advance that he would sometimes let me and my brother play Mario Kart with, and then he got me a used copy of Chain of Memories for the Game Boy to play, sometimes if we were on trips. And since I was a little kid, I was terrible at it. I'm not even kidding, I couldn't even get past Hades in the third world, like that's how bad I was. Years passed and they did make a Chain of Memories manga adaptation, so I could at least find out what happened in the story since I never beat the game, and even then it was entirely accurate since the manga kind of deviates from the main plot of the games quite a bit. But then something changed. When it came time to do the Kingdom Hearts 2 manga, 2 volumes of it got released here in the States in 2007, and then it kinda got pushed off to the side and low-key canceled until around 2014 and 2017 when they finally managed to complete the project and release the rest here in the States. But, like I said, I was a Nintendo kid growing up, and I didn't know how Kingdom Hearts 2 ended. So years passed, and then for one of my birthdays, my parents got me 358 Days Over 2 for my Nintendo DS. And of course, around that time, promotion for Birth by Sleep was ramping up online, and I had no idea what the heck was going on. Thankfully, around this time, I was starting to discover YouTube, so I found videos of Kingdom Hearts 2's ending so I could at least get a somewhat better understanding of what the heck was going on with the story. Thankfully, as I was finally starting to get older and better at video games, I did manage to beat Chain of Memories under my own ability, and 358 Days I managed to beat as well. And then when I finally got to high school, I really wanted to play Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 for myself, so I asked a family friend who had a PS2 and both games if I could borrow them and play them for myself, which I did. I played them, enjoyed them, and looked forward to getting Dream Drop Distance as a birthday gift alongside my new 3DS. I didn't own a PlayStation Portable, so I watched the main story beats for Birth by Sleep online. And then after that, the HD remakes started rolling out, the phone games got updates from time to time, Kingdom Hearts 3 and Melody of Memory finally came out, and the rest is yet to be written. I do plan on going into more detail about each game and my experience with them in more detail in my upcoming challenge series, but owning each game isn't why I love this series. It's something more. As somebody who grew up with comic books, the admittedly long and sometimes complex story didn't deter me. It actually made me excited and intrigued, and as I learned more and more about the story and got to experience it on my own terms, I fell in love with it. Not because of the Disney characters or the Square Enix characters, mind you, but rather because of two major factors, Sora and the story of his journey. Getting personal for a moment here, but I am diagnosed with autism. It is mild, and most people who know me in real life and don't know that factoid might be able to deduce I'm at least neurodivergent, but maybe not necessarily autistic. And I don't think Sora is written or even coded to be autistic or neurodivergent or anything like that. He's just a simple soul.
That dull, ordinary boy.
Like Xehanort said. But he's somebody who I relate to a lot because of one thing. He might not fully grasp what is happening from time to time or feel overwhelmed by the situation he is in, but he puts his best foot forward and tries his best no matter what. No matter how many times the world tries to tear him down, or expects him to act another way, or tells him you aren't special, or you're not good enough, he stays true to himself and stays kind regardless. And of course you could say that of most, if not all, anime or video game protagonists. Naruto choosing to be kind despite the village hating him, Luffy being kind of a dunce but wanting to follow his dreams with his friends, Link being the hero? So on and so forth. But it also ties back to Sora's attitude. When he loses the Keyblade in Hollow Bastion, at first he feels that he's lost what made him special, the reason people wanted to be around him, like Donald and Goofy. As soon as something changed, they abandoned him for somebody else, making him feel like he wasn't wanted. I will admit I personally haven't had a situation like that happen in my own life, but I felt similar strains and fears. For a while back in high school, I went through what I call my pseudo-emo phase, aka what I consider my cringiest time of growing up. For a while back in high school, I thought that I had to shut down my emotions, simply get things done, put everything to the side, be a big, strong man. Like I said, pretty cringe. So I related a bit more to Roxas back then. His attitude of feeling like he had to just simply put his head down and move forward, no matter what. But as I grew older and had more experiences in my life, some of them through Kingdom Hearts, but mostly through my friends and family, I learned how to open up to them, trust them more with things, and how I didn't need to be anybody else. I just needed to be me. So in that sense, I guess I still relate to Roxas in a way, but I've also learned to not close myself off and instead try to be a kind, caring person like Sora. Not to say that I wasn't a kind or caring person before all this, but rather that I just kind of needed to get out of my own head. I needed to stop acting like I had this wall that nobody could get through because that's how things needed to be. I just needed to be willing to open up to people and let them open up to me. And that in and of itself can create its own set of challenges for me. I am somebody who, due to the way my brain works, takes a lot of the world at face value. I don't normally have bad assumptions about people I meet or know, or about actions that people may take. If somebody says something to me, I usually take it as is, as presented, and give that level of energy back in return. I want to believe in the best of people, but sometimes people don't have the best intentions and I don't catch that. Or in a more realistic world sense, somebody might be trying to send me signals to tell me to not do something or maybe take a different route, but I might not catch it because I take it at face value and I'm like, okay, you're saying what you mean, I trust you on that. I actually had lost a job that way. But I do try to be better. I try to always trust people and be kind to others, even if they don't always have the best intentions. And I do think Sora is written in a similar way, and I relate to that a lot. Someone who might not be the brightest bulb in certain situations, but gives it his all no matter what. But beyond Sora's character, the biggest reason why I love Kingdom Hearts is not just because that the characters resonate with me, but the story resonates with me on a personal level as well. The story just resonated with me so much because it is a fiction that talks about things that I do believe in regards to light and darkness and the strength in one's heart to fight the darkness. I know it sounds a bit cliche, but it is the truth. Even though the world we live in is full of insanity, anger, pain, hurt, what have you, the light shining within people's hearts, I still believe is enough to help keep the world moving forward. That's what I believe at least. A bit sappy, but I know the path my heart walks. It might be a foolish one where I might get hurt at some point or another, but I'll keep walking forward towards the light. And because of that, I've just loved this franchise to death. Sora not giving up after Riku took the Keyblade, not giving up after the darkness took his friends, not giving up in so many situations, but continuing to move forward and trying to make the world a better place. And it always brings a smile to my face. I remember hanging out in my college dorm room watching whatever Kingdom Hearts 3 trailers rolled out as we approached the release in 2018, having fun talking to friends about the series over the years. And I am honestly surprised that my neighbors didn't file a noise complaint when Sora got revealed for Super Smash Bros. Last year. But that's a sign, I think, that it does mean a lot to me. And I'm excited to not only do this challenge series here on YouTube, but to also see what the future holds with Kingdom Hearts 4. Well then, that's enough long-winded rambling. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch and listen to me explain why I love this series so much, and why it means a lot to me. I'll be posting my first episode of my Kingdom Hearts playthrough where I use only the Kingdom Key on the hardest difficulty not long after this one, so keep an eye out for that one. Thanks for watching, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time.